So Lauren did the maths education teacher training course before she started the master's. So I want to talk about two quite small examples as well, and then raise a few questions that might lead to discussion. So the first also came from a very small amount of money, and I understand the fund is being relaunched, but there was a Green Apple project, and I've seen Ash in the audience somewhere, maybe she's gone, who gave us the money. It was just a very small piece of money which was given to the teacher education group to try and explore how our teacher education course might support our students to think about how their subject teaching can come into dialogue with global issues. We met what it supported. It's been going now for 5 years, and it's supported meetings which occur, just 3 meetings over the year, where we get together with interested prospective teachers and in-service teachers and university staff, really just sharing resources, sharing ideas, sharing possibilities. I think there have been some interesting findings, and one is that when our students go out into school and say, I want to do something linking my language teaching to climate change, for example, it's universally positive, the response they get from schools. Schools are always encouraging. And the teachers who are in service say, we just don't feel we've got enough time to do this ourselves. So I think one important finding for us is that actually this teacher training year, this teacher education year, is one space in the system where we can create the time for prospective teachers to think about these issues. Some experiences of the kind of narrative of this is for you to sort out have been shown to be very ineffective, and some lovely examples of imaginings of future scenarios being much more engaging for young children. So this is ongoing work, and in fact, I and Vals published a chapter from a group of teachers engaged in this work in a recent book that they published a few years ago. And the second project is also GCRF funded, and it's just started, and I'm involved in this, and this is actually taking place in Mexico. And I guess this echoes a number of the themes that have emerged through the day. So it's starting off working with 2 communities, one in Tlaxcala State and the second one in 2 areas of Mexico City. In the first one, which is quite a rural community, the community lives on the 3rd most polluted river in Mexico, which apparently sometimes smells so bad that they can't actually go to school. And the thing that struck the scientists working there and was really the inspiration for the project was that there's nothing about that river that makes it into the school curriculum. And so the network really is just asking the simple question of how can we alter that? And it's actually surprisingly complex because there is a mandatory curriculum with a national textbook that defines what needs to be taught in each lesson in both science and mathematics. So the network is bringing together scientists, teachers, teacher educators, policymakers, community leaders to try and share knowledge about how that might happen. And we've only just begun. We are finding that the knowledge of the NGOs who have been working in those communities for the last 20 years is, of course, absolutely critical. I just want to raise then a couple of broader sets of issues. And I suppose the first is what kind of responses or answers. I had answers there maybe in the first one. I'm not sure we're going to get to answers, are we? But I wonder if it's worth considering what possible outcomes we might get from our research. And I guess for me, what's behind that is I'm not necessarily convinced this is about finding solutions, or I'm not sure whether solutions are a helpful way of framing what we're going on. It seems to me we're beyond hopes of saving something. I'm not sure it's helpful to think about something we can get back to. And even idealized images of possible futures seem to me potentially counterproductive. It seems to me we are, and many, of course, communities know this deeply already. Crisis as a permanent condition. Paradox, partiality, the mixed up nature of things. We were talking on our table about the difference between mitigation and adaptation. And of course, many communities are having to and have spent many years adapting to climate change. And perhaps there's a lot we can learn from those in terms of living with crisis. And I've just got one slide here just about how some of that paradox just plays out for here in Bristol. So we've declared a climate emergency as a university. In fact, the city's declared a climate university, the government has. So sort of 3 layers of emergency. And we're doing a major building project where I happen to know that budget is being prioritized over sustainability. For example, there was a proposal that the top 4 floors could be made out of wood, but that was going to be too expensive. We have reached a position where we're not wanting to grow our student numbers anymore. We've agreed with the city that there will be a cap on student numbers, and the growth that's already in train will basically mean we get there. So what's happening is we're now being told we have to substitute home for international students in order to balance the books. So these seem to be 2 examples of paradoxes, which makes me wonder even whether, as a sort of globally elite universities, are we really just becoming gatekeepers for the global elite? Okay, so I'll leave you with some questions from David and myself. Thank you very much for your attention.